Your gratitude has been backward your entire life. You've been saying thank you for things you can already see, already touch, already hold. And that version of thankfulness, while pleasant, has almost zero creative power. By the end of this, you'll understand why genuine gratitude, the kind that reshapes your reality, feels like signing for a package that hasn't arrived yet. Think about what happens when you receive a gift. A real one. Someone hands you something wrapped, you open it, and the thank you that comes out of your mouth carries a specific energy. There's warmth in it. Certainty. You're holding the thing. The gratitude flows naturally because possession is already established. Now here's what most people miss when they practice gratitude as a spiritual discipline. They reverse the sequence. They try to feel thankful in order to get something. The energy behind that attempt is completely different. It carries the signature of wanting, of lack, of please. And the subconscious mind, which operates on feeling, on state, on the texture of your inner experience, reads that signature with absolute precision. Neville Goddard taught this with a clarity that still cuts through decades of noise. He said to give thanks for what you have already received. The emphasis was always on that word received, past tense, done. When you say thank you from the state of the wish fulfilled, you're issuing a receipt. You're confirming delivery. The subconscious doesn't argue with a receipt. It organizes reality around the assumption embedded in that feeling. But most people can't hold that state for more than a few seconds. Why? Because the moment they open their eyes, the old world is still there. The bank account still reads the same number. The relationship still has the same distance in it. The body still carries the same tension. And so the gratitude collapses into hope, which collapses into doubt, which collapses into the familiar ache of wanting something you believe you lack. This is where the real work begins. The part that separates someone who's read about manifestation from someone who lives it. The discipline looks like this. You sit with yourself and you construct in your mind the scene that would naturally follow the fulfillment of your desire. You don't visualize the desire itself. You place yourself after it, a friend congratulating you, the weight of a ring on your finger, the view from the window of the home you've moved into. And from inside that scene, you let gratitude rise the way steam rises from hot water, naturally, without force. The thank you isn't directed at the universe as some cosmic vending machine. The thank you is the emotional confirmation that you are already the person who has this. That distinction changes everything about how the practice works. Consider what a receipt actually does in the physical world. It closes a transaction. Once a receipt is issued, the exchange is complete. There's no more negotiation, no more uncertainty about whether the goods were delivered. The receipt is proof. When you feel genuine gratitude for something you've decided is yours, when the feeling is as natural and settled as thanking someone who just handed you a glass of water, you've issued an inner receipt. The transaction between your desire and your experience is closed. Your subconscious begins rearranging the furniture of your life to match. Now, someone might push back here and say this is just self-delusion, pretending you have something you clearly lack. And that objection deserves a real answer, because it's the same objection that keeps millions of people stuck in the waiting room of their own lives. The question to ask is, what are you already assuming right now? Every single day, you walk through life with a set of assumptions about who you are, what's possible for you, and what you deserve. Those assumptions are running constantly below conscious awareness, shaping your choices and filtering your perception. You're already living inside an assumption. The only question is whether you chose it deliberately or inherited it by default. Gratitude as a receipt is the act of choosing. It's moving from unconscious assumption to conscious selection of the state you want to occupy. The feeling matters more than the words. You can say "I'm grateful" 1,000 times while your stomach is tight with anxiety, and the subconscious will read the stomach every single time. It ignores the words, it reads the body, it reads the state. So the practice requires something deeper than affirmation. It requires you to find, somewhere in your body, the actual sensation of relief that comes when something you wanted is finally yours. That exhale, that softening behind the ribs, that quiet settling, like snow landing on a still lake. When you can access that sensation and pair it with the mental image of your fulfilled desire, you've created something the subconscious treats as real experience. This is why Goddard emphasized the state akin to sleep, that drowsy, liminal space right before you drift off. In that state, the conscious mind loosens its grip. The inner critic quiets down. The rational filter that says this isn't real yet thins to almost nothing. And in that gap, the feeling of gratitude for a fulfilled desire can sink deep enough to take root. You're planting a seed in soil that's actually receptive rather than scattering it on concrete and wondering why nothing grows. There's a subtlety here that trips people up for months, sometimes years. They do the practice, they feel the gratitude, they enter the state, and then they spend the entire next day looking for evidence that it's working. That looking is the opposite of the receipt. A receipt means the transaction is done. You don't issue a receipt and then follow the delivery truck to make sure it's heading to your house. The very act of checking communicates to the subconscious that you don't believe the delivery is complete. Every time you ask, "Where is it?" or "Why hasn't it shown up yet?" you're tearing up the receipt you just wrote. The discipline of gratitude includes the discipline of resting afterward. Living your day as someone who already has what they want, which means someone who has stopped reaching for it. This is where gratitude separates from positive thinking. Positive thinking tries to paste a pleasant thought over an unpleasant feeling. Gratitude as a receipt changes the feeling itself. It moves you from the state of wanting into the state of having. And those two states produce entirely different patterns of thought, behavior, and perception. Someone in the state of wanting notices every absence. Someone in the state of having notices confirmation everywhere. The same reality, filtered through two different assumptions, produces two completely different experiences. Two different lives, really. The ancient Hermetic tradition captured this in a principle that's been echoed across every major spiritual lineage. The inner and the outer are reflections of each other. Your outer world is a mirror, and gratitude, real gratitude, the kind rooted in the feeling of possession, is how you change the reflection by changing what stands in front of the mirror. You can't reach into a mirror and rearrange the image. You change yourself, the reflection follows. The receipt of gratitude is your confirmation that the change has already occurred within. So tonight, when you lie down, try something. Close your eyes and let the day fall away. Bring to mind one thing you've been wanting, and instead of wanting it, place yourself after its arrival. Feel your way into the scene that comes next, the conversation you'd have, the way your morning would start. Let thankfulness rise the way it does when something real has landed in your life. Quiet, warm, settled. Hold it long enough to feel your body respond. That softening, that release of tension you didn't even know you were carrying. Then let it go. Fall asleep in that feeling, the way a child falls asleep clutching a new toy. The conscious mind will try to retrieve the desire tomorrow, will try to check the tracking number, will try to measure the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Your only job is to remember, you already signed for this. The receipt is written. The delivery has a timeline of its own, and your peace doesn't depend on knowing it. Gratitude was never meant to be a polite response to good fortune. It was always the advanced confirmation, the inner signature that tells every part of you the transfer is complete. Start signing.